the Earth receives only 150 millionth of the total solar radiation bathing the universe. The 150 millionth of the total solar radiation. And the sunlight falling on the land surface causes heating effect. So what we discussed last time, that from sun to earth, the light is, how much time is taken? 8.31 minute. So what is the speed of the light? 3 lakhs kilometer per second. Okay, then when it fall on the surface, so some of the light is converted to heat. It is started, and this heat is very important in our environmental study, because the heat affects the physical, chemical, and biological reactions of the environment. Okay, so we are going to discuss both the light and heat together, and you see that several times we discussed that the wind and ocean current is controlled by the heat, is not it? So heat, evaporation, rainfall, relative humidity, that means the precipitation, what we discussed earlier, is not it? So all are certain temperature condition aspect of the environment. Okay? So do you see, this is so interesting that in the form of light, the energy is coming to our earth. And now most of these functions are controlled by the heat. Light is converted to heat. The last line you write, the quality of light, its intensity and duration influence germination, growth, reproduction, movement, and distribution of the plant. This is the most important thing. And you see, this based on the solar radiation, so earth is now divided into some zones. You see, what are the zones? Where the direct sunlight falls, this is equatorial. So it is 10 degree towards north and 10 degree latitude towards south, okay, north and south. So this is equatorial zone. Then the tropical zone. So beyond that is temperate, and at last it is the polar zone. Okay, clear? In both the hemisphere, in northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Tropics, then in temperate zone, in the southern hemisphere, and polar zone. Polar zone it is Antarctica. Then in temperate zone in northern hemisphere, only a few continental masses there. This is Australia and South Africa and South America. Rest is the ocean. But in the northern zone, there are so many continents. So of course, we are not going to discuss all these things. But most important thing, so last time we discussed one thing. Then when we go 6 to 7 meter up, then there is a difference of nearly 1 degree centigrade. So gradually the temperature is lowered down, and you see in the lower altitude of the mountains or hills, so the vegetation or climate or the environment, what you say, so this is subtropical or tropical. Okay, so what is the tropical? In the earth actually, so this is the tropic, means the hotter, because the direct sunlight falls, and then when the sunlight falls in inclined areas, inclinedly, then the temperature is going down. So what happened in the temperature in the temperate zone in Europe, suppose in China, Mongolia, this side, in Russia, so these are temperate zone. And if you go up mountain, in the mountain, then you will get the colder atmosphere, is not it? So if you go to Shillong, if you go to Ladakh, gradually the temperature will be lowered down. So this is the temperature climate, temperate climate. And at top, at a mountain peak, suppose about 5,000 meter from mean sea level, there it is totally ice covered. If you go to Tawang, Salatop, in this side, or Leh. This side is mountain, top of the mountain, and these are all covered by ice. And the atmosphere or the environment is similar to the polar zone. Pole, where the people live in the polar zone is called as Eskimo. And accordingly, you see, this when anything is migrated, it may be plant or animals or human being or anything else. So, those are migrated from the hotter region of the world. They used to get the shelter or to find out their habitat or atmosphere in the lower elevation of the mountains. Plants or animals migrated from the temperate zone. They used to find out, suppose they came to Northeast India. Okay? Then they try to find out, those are coming from Europe, they will find a very good, habitat in their temperate zone. The people coming from England, they will be more comfortable in Shillong, isn't it? Not in the Guwahati or in Jorhat. So, like this way. So, plants, animals, all are distributed accordingly. So, this distribution, you see, this temperature and rainfall. Now, here in this third, we are not discussing about the light. What is energy is coming from sun in the form of light. And now you see, temperature control everything. And here you see the very high rainfall, RF means rainfall, plus high temperature. Where you will get this? Very high rainfall and very high temperature, definitely in the equatorial zone or tropical zone, isn't it? So, there the tropical rainforest are here. So, I think in Discovery Channel or, Nature Planet, you have observed so many things. Amazon, isn't it? Where it is? Amazon, the place of anaconda. So, what is the peculiarity of the rainforest? Where it is? The forest around us, key forest. Northeast India, around us, most of the forests are rainforest. These are called as a tropical rainforest. Rainfall is high and temperature is also high. But in our Assam, it is a subtropical rainforest, of course. But its tropical rainforests are distributed entire Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia. You can start with Assam, Northeast India, then Burma, Thailand to Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, these countries will come. So, this Southeast Asia, then Africa and South America. So, these are the places where rainforests are distributed. Okay? What are the peculiarity of rainforest? You see, rainforest, suppose these are this type of one canopy, another, this type of tall and lofty trees are there, suppose. And in between you will find some other plants which heights are lesser than this. Then the gaps will be occupied by some other plants. Again you will find some small plants. And these are known as a stratified. Okay, this is one, it is called as a strata, but you need not to remember all these ecological terms. But the tall one type, in the medium storied, okay, understoried, these are the vegetations, ground vegetations. In different layers are there, isn't it? So, these are called as a stratified forest. Stratified. I think you have observed anything, any forest in our Northeast India or in Assam. Okay, if you go to the forest or even our baris. So, if you observe this, then if you have not, now you observe. So, what is this? So, in the stratified manner, suppose tall plants are there, that our Borham tree, okay. So, these are tall plants, mangoes, then bogori, madhuriam, much, then at last you will find some of the shrubs and herbs. isn't it? They all are in the same place, that means in the stratified manner. They utilize the solar energy, radiating energy, particularly the light, in so beautiful way. Okay? The direct sunlight will be utilized by tall. Then these plants, they are shade-loving plants. Okay? So that write-up, in the write-up, I have one thing is given, that if there is 0.1% solar light in the understory, 0.1%, then you'll find the mosses. You know what is moss? Bryophytes, Varigula. So these are the mosses. Then 0.25% যদি sunlight থাকে, then what will be? You will find some ferns. Ferns and fernal is the pteridophytic plants. Okay? So if it is 1 to 10%, then only then you will find some herbs of angiospermic. Angiospermic means flower bearing. Okay, this in the understory. You see how beautifully the vegetation is built up with effect of solar radiation. And if you want to find out some of the climbers, then you'll find the climbers may be here. They will climb up to the top of the canopy so that they can acquire sufficient sunlight for their metabolic functions, isn't it? For photosynthesis, for us. Okay, so these are the things. So in this way, the forests are developed. So for this type of forest, in the same, okay, in a little amount of land, huge amount of diversities are there. Okay, so according to some of the, now you see, you think about because they produce food and the dependent organisms, suppose the primary consumers, secondary consumers, so there will be of the different types. Birds will be there, leeches will be there, okay, mollusks will be there, other animals are also be there. Okay. In contrast, suppose in the this is a rainforest. Suppose deciduous, now we are going to discuss about a deciduous forest now. In the deciduous forest, so one type of plants are there. So if you go to Guwahati, then in this, it is Jorhat area, you will find a teak forest. I think you have observed teak, segun. Okay, so these are deciduous forests. You will find only one type of plants. And next is the ground vegetations. You will find some of the grasses. Nothing else. So this is completely different type of forest. It is a dry deciduous type of forest, and these are the mixed forests. These are rainforest. Why it is called rainforest? Because sufficient high amount of rainfall is required. Then moderate rainfall and long and intense dry temperature. Moderate rainfall, long and intense dry temperature. It is moderate temperature actually, moderate rainfall and moderate temperature, and situation is dry because of moderate rainfall. It is actually dry to yet dry deciduous and thorn scrub vegetation. Low temperature, if low rainfall, now we will go to the low rainfall and very high temperature. Temperature is too high and rainfall is too low. We know this is a desert. In a desert, what we will get? So cactus you may find, euphorbias that means latex bearing plants. Latex means white, milky juice or some gummy substances. So these are milky, and because these plants produce this type of substance to protect, to control their evaporation. Otherwise, water will lose. And very low temperature and very high rainfall. Here there is a very high rainfall, high temperature, yet very high rainfall but low temperature. In temperate or a little bit of suppose Arctic region. Lichen, small conifers, scattered, hardly shrubs, herbs, etc. So this our environment, they are protecting us from the UV light, isn't it? If you go up and up in the mountain, the intensity of UV light is more. And you see this growth of the plants is checked by UV lights. There the conifers means the pine tree. Okay, if you go at the top of the mountain towards Sela or towards Tawang on this side, then the height of the plants will be reduced. Gradually, after one time, you will get no tree at all. Okay, one of the factors is UV light. And when there is a more UV light, one positive thing is there, that is anthocyanin. The production of synthesis of anthocyanin is more. What is anthocyanin? It is a very good, you will be taught on that way. So anthocyanin in some colored plants, suppose brownish or purple plants or plant parts, organs, the anthocyanin is developed, and that is influenced by the UV light. Okay, I think ozone. Ozone layer checked the UV light and protected us from UV lights. But if you in the top of the mountain, the amount of UV light is more, and that is why there the trees become shorter. Therefore, I am writing small conifers in the top of the mountain. And then anthocyanin, production of anthocyanin is given in the write-up. We go through it, and it is more. So this is your beloved sun, and suppose this is a place of, it is a picture from anything from Kaziranga or any plants. Okay, now you see, wind is always there. What is the effect between? Reflected sunlight, okay, reflected by cloud. The plant receive also direct sunlight, directly without reflection. They receive some direct sunlight, and sometimes the scattered sunlight. Scattered means the sunlight was scattered by the dust particles present in the atmosphere. Okay, on Saturday we discuss it. Then sometimes the light is also reflected from the ground. So many types of light is absorbed by plants to produce the food. But some of that are convective transfer. What is the convective transfer? Any object with its environment. Suppose living thing. This plant is a living thing, and with the environment there is a transfer of this energy in the form of, with the help of that means liquid substance. But there is a, you see, the reflected sunlight directly it is reaching. There is a reflected or direct sunlight. So there is scattered sunlight. There is no liquid media in between. But the convective transfer, so through liquid media. That means when the plants are a living thing full of cytoplasm and water is there, and with the help of this, and when wind blows, some of the water is lost. Accordingly, there is a convecting transfer of some energy. Then simultaneously, you see the heat exchange, the thermal radiation from atmosphere the plants received, transfer by transpiration, transfer by transpiration, transfer by radiation. And there are some thermal radiation also. And these are the things. And wind is a mediator. It also influences the transfer of light and temperature. And this is a simple chart, the energy exchange between plants and so why we are concentrating on discussing on the plants? Because plants are the producer, no? They will produce, they will convert the energy, solar energy to chemical energy. The chemical energy will be, it will store the energy and it will release the energy in our cellular system. We are dependent on it. That consumer will eat the primary, secondary. So food, we have discussed these things. Solar light, it is heat is produced when it reaches the earth surface. And this heat controls evaporation as well as the transpiration. We discussed, no? What it is called? When evaporation and transpiration together, what it is called? Evapotranspiration. Yes? Then the heat controls the cloud formation. Suppose this is the sea or ocean. It's not, this is the land. The heat, this solar radiation, when falls on that, the heat, the soil is and suppose this is the water, is not it? So this water evaporated and it forms the cloud. And then here also, because of the heating of the soil, the wind, hotter wind go up and the gap is filled up by the colder wind coming from the ocean and it brings the cloud. We have already completed this, no? This water cycle. So this wind brings the water to the land. It is in the form of rainfall or some precipitation, is not it? So this cloud formation as well as the movement of the cloud, it is controlled by the heat. Is not it? By heat. Nothing else. You see, the warm air will go up and the gap produced by because of that, it will be filled up by cold wind coming from the ocean side, and this cold will bring the cloud. So it controls the movement of the cloud. Then this heat also controls the precipitation as well as the rainfall. It controls the local environment. Then ocean current, wind velocity in the water cycle we have discussed. Or you want to see this chart again. Vegetation distribution as well as the biodiversity. That means all living things dependent on the vegetation. So as a whole. So everything is controlled by the heat. And we receive these things in the form of light from the sun. Okay? So since the heat controls everything in our earth, not only in earth, in the universe. So is not it a heat is a resource? Okay? Now we have to, it is also a resource, heat, energy. So heat is one of them and light is also there, and you cannot separate heat and light easily in the natural system.